If there's a place on the map where the line between order and chaos is separated by nothing more than a narrow stream, it would be the border between Myanmar and China. On one side lies China, smooth asphalt roads, high-rise buildings glowing through the night, police patrols every hour, and surveillance cameras at every intersection. On the other side lies Myanmar, pitch dark, mountains stretching endlessly, shabby wooden houses, and the occasional burst of gunfire echoing through the night. Why is the China-Myanmar border such a complicated place, and why has it become a haven for criminals? The border between Myanmar and China stretches for nearly 2,000 kilometers, winding through the high mountains of China's Yunnan province and across Myanmar's Kachin, Shan, and Kokang regions. On the map, it looks clear enough, but anyone who sets foot there quickly realizes that in many parts, this border exists only on paper. In reality, it's a belt of dense jungle, valleys, and deep streams, a place where people on both sides have been living intermingled for centuries. Dozens of ethnic groups coexist here: Han Chinese, Kachin, Shan, Kokang, Lisu, Akha, Lahu, each with its own language, customs, and gods. What's unique about this region is that many communities don't even know which country they belong to. Some villages in Myanmar speak only Chinese, use Chinese currency, and get mobile signals from across the border. Meanwhile, some villages in Yunnan have Myanmar settlers who farm rice, marry locals, and live as if they were in their own homeland. This is truly a blurred land. Since Myanmar gained independence in 1948, the country has never been fully unified. Ethnic groups in the northern mountains have long sought to break away and form their own governments. The central government is weak, and the military's power extends mainly over the lowlands. As a result, much of the border area with China has become a gray zone, not fully bright, yet not completely dark. It's a place where the state's power fades and armed groups sprout like mushrooms. In the north lies Kachin State, controlled by the Kachin Independence Army, which holds one of the world's richest jade mines, the source of the finest green gemstones. To the east is Wa State, home to the United Wa State Army, with over 30,000 troops, armored vehicles, anti-aircraft guns, and alleged ties to China. The people there speak Mandarin, use Chinese yuan, and trade goods labeled Made in China. It's no exaggeration to say that China's influence outweighs that of the Myanmar government. In the Kokang region, right along the Yunnan border, locals consider China their ancestral homeland. Communities of Han Chinese settlers have lived there for generations, forming their own societies with their own language, laws, and even local militias. In such places, Myanmar is little more than a name on a map. So even though there are border fences and checkpoints, in reality, no country fully controls this area. Myanmar is too weak, and China cannot intervene openly. Between them lie dozens of miniature states, each ruled by its own warlord, each with its own laws, and sometimes even its own flag. This is truly one of the world's hottest flashpoints. Even before scams entered the picture, this border was already on fire militarily. It forms a key corridor connecting China to the Indian Ocean. As part of the Belt and Road Initiative, China built the Kiaopiu port in southern Myanmar, then ran an oil and gas pipeline through the mountains of Shan State straight to Kunming in China. After Myanmar's 2021 military coup, border conflicts escalated. Ethnic armed groups, long armed and entrenched, began forming alliances against Myanmar's central army. The border thus became a battlefield, a diplomatic chessboard, and a stage for China's soft power. But the scariest thing about this place isn't the gunfire. It's what happens in silence, behind concrete walls and electric fences, inside rooms full of computers at transnational scam centers. While armies fought and governments weakened, criminal networks seized the opportunity to build entire scam cities. From the outside, they might bear signs like high-tech industrial park, e-commerce center, or foreign investment project. But inside are guarded compounds, armed soldiers, and thousands of computers running 24/7. Here, tens of thousands of people, kidnapped or deceived from across Asia, China, Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, Malaysia, are forced to work like slaves. They spend far more hours in front of screens than any office worker, pretending to be investors, lovers, or friends. And sometimes the person they're chatting with online could be you. Those who fail to meet their targets face a grim fate. The United Nations estimates that in northern Myanmar alone, over 100,000 people are being forced to work in such scam compounds. Some call the region the Silicon Valley of crime, modern in every way except for its vile purpose. And to truly understand how this dark system operates, we must look at the families and clans that have ruled this borderland for decades, the warlords who turned chaos into their kingdom. China launched a sweeping crackdown, and a series of once powerful families that had ruled the borderlands collapsed, triggering trials that shocked all Asia. The first to fall was the Ming clan, known as the Scam Dynasty of the Kokang region in northern Shan State, Myanmar. For years, they ruled the area like their own kingdom, with armed forces, power plants, security outposts, and multiple high-tech industrial zones that were in reality cyber scam centers. The most infamous figure was Ming, a true warlord. Under his control was a vast network of businesses, banks, and thousands of forced laborers working in these scamming compounds. Outwardly, Ming was known as an entrepreneur, but to locals he was called Ming Wang, the man who held the lives and deaths of tens of thousands within the scam empire. In 2023, during a joint operation as rebel forces seized several strongholds in the region, the Myanmar government cooperated with China to hunt down the criminal masterminds. Ming and his entire family were captured and handed over to China. Later, a court in Wenzhou held a public trial, sentencing 11 members of the Ming clan, including his son and younger brother, to the highest penalty under Chinese law. And as you might know, China's highest penalty is the death sentence. If the Ming family was the criminal dynasty, then Bao Suochang was the border warlord. He was a peculiar figure, part businessman, part general, part power broker. Bao Suochang once headed the Kokang Alliance, controlling much of eastern Shan State under the guise of autonomy. He maintained a private army and protected gambling, casino, and fraud projects. However, by 2024, things changed. After China launched its cross-border anti-fraud campaign, the Myanmar authorities were forced to show goodwill. As a result, Bao Suochang and 10 of his closest associates were arrested and extradited to Beijing. International media described it as a historic extradition, as Bao Suochang had long been considered untouchable. The third case came soon after. China expanded its campaign, prosecuting another 16 members of the transnational scam network operating from Myanmar. Many were sentenced to death or life imprisonment. The entire trial was broadcast live, serving as a warning to tens of thousands of criminals still hiding along the border. Media outlets emphasized that this was not just a punishment of individuals, but a purge of an entire criminal system that had disgraced the nation. These 16 belonged to what was known as the Fraud Alliance, including former businessmen and foreign investors who had once disguised themselves as legitimate partners to launder money for the scam centers. The image of 16 criminals standing before the judge became a powerful warning to every fraudster along the frontier. The fourth case involved Wang Ying. Among countless victims trapped in these scam networks, his story ignited public outrage. Wang Ying, a young Chinese actor, was invited to Thailand to work on a film project, but upon arrival, he was abducted and trafficked to Myanmar's Shan State, where he was imprisoned in a scam compound. He was forced to work 12 hours a day, pretending to be a cryptocurrency investor, chatting online with unsuspecting victims. Months later, he was rescued through an international mission and revealed his story to the world. His testimony exposed the extreme sophistication of these scam networks, which had even created fake film studios to lure attractive, articulate young people and turn them into tools of deception. Going back over 15 years, the name Na-Kam or Na-Kum once struck fear across the Golden Triangle. He ran networks of drug trafficking, kidnapping, and piracy on the Mekong River, and in 2011, his gang murdered 13 Chinese sailors. Outraged, Beijing dispatched special forces into Laos, captured Na-Kam, and brought him to trial, where he received the death sentence in 2013. Back then, borderland criminals were traditional warlords, river kings. But today, crime has evolved. Instead of smuggling drugs, they trade emotions, using the internet, love, and cryptocurrency to scam victims across borders. If Na-Kam was the symbol of crime in the era of guns and violence, then modern figures like Chen Ji, who had $15 billion in assets seized by the U.S. for money laundering and running scam operations in Cambodia, are the symbols of crime in the digital age. What they all share in common is their reliance on lawless borderlands, corruption, and complex terrain to conceal their activities. But unlike Na-Kam, these digital warlords, like Chen Ji or Ming Shui-chung, don't need to point guns at anyone. With just one click, they can drain the money of thousands across Asia. In conclusion, the China-Myanmar border is the perfect example of globalization's dark side, where modern technology, high-speed internet, e-wallets, and cryptocurrency, inventions meant to connect and empower humanity, have instead been exploited to fuel an entire criminal economy. On one side of the border, China races ahead, booming with urbanization and e-commerce. Just a few hundred meters away, on the Myanmar side, lies a world of poverty and war, where human beings are turned into instruments of deception through the very internet meant to bring people together. That blurred boundary shows that in the age of globalization, technology can connect everything, but it can also erase the line between legal and illegal. Thank you for following this story. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it. For now, this is goodbye. Thank you for staying with Societale Stories.